In January 2022, following the conclusion of the 2021 NFL season, Miami Dolphins head coach Brian Flores was fired by the team despite leading the squad to their first back-to-back winning seasons in nearly 20 years. On February 1st, Flores, one of just 3 black head coaches during the 2021 season, in a league whose players are made up of 70% African Americans, filed a lawsuit against the National Football League citing racial discrimination in their hiring practices. To get some more perspective on the NFL's history of racial bias, I talked to Bob Glauber, an NFL writer for Newsday, who served as the president of the Pro Football Writers of America from 2018 to 2020. Bob is also the author of 2 books, including The Forgotten First, which tells the story of Kenny Washington, Woody Strode, Marion Motley, and Bill Willis, the 4 black men who integrated professional football in 1946. Bob, thanks for taking some time to talk with me today.
My pleasure.
We're quite far removed from 1946 in terms of racial discrimination in the NFL, but the league still has its racial issues that plague it to this day. In what areas have you seen improvements in the NFL's treatment of black players since the time when they were effectively barred from competing?
This is now the 75th anniversary season of that first year. So it's kind of an important milestone, and it's an important check to see how the league has done. And I would say with players, the NFL is a true meritocracy. The best players play regardless of skin color. And I think the last barrier to that was quarterback. There was a long time when coaches did not think black quarterbacks could succeed, quite frankly. And it took until 1987 when Doug Williams won the Super Bowl with Washington to kind of finally break that barrier down. And now to the point where black quarterbacks have just as much of an opportunity as white quarterbacks.
The players that integrated the league were exceptionally talented and were standouts in the college game. Kenny Washington was even a teammate of Jackie Robinson's at UCLA. What kind of obstacles were thrown in the way of these black players early on and throughout history at the professional level?
It took many years for it to be widely accepted that black players could play in the NFL, were smart enough to play in the NFL. They didn't think, and a lot of owners didn't think they were smart enough to play in the NFL, especially at positions like quarterback, like center, like middle linebacker, the middle of the field where supposedly you need brains, and black players were not trusted many years ago to run those positions. So it was a disturbing time, but when you learn about it, and then when you learn how far the league has come, thank goodness we're not back there, but there is still a ways to go.
So, as you mentioned, there's still progress to be made with representation in the NFL, but where in particular is the league falling behind in its treatment of black people?
I think the area where the league still has a long way to go is in the head coaching position. And Brian Flores has kind of brought that into focus. And there's tremendous attention on that, not only because of him, but because of the last several coaching hiring cycles. Now, guys like Eric Bieniemy and others who are completely qualified, not getting jobs, and Brian Flores getting fired after 2 winning seasons in a row, which a Dolphins coach had not done that in several years. So they do have quite a ways to go in terms of head coaches. I think things are getting a little bit better in administrative positions, general manager, coordinator positions, but it's that head coaching position that really comes front and center.
Bob, thank you once again for taking the time to chat with me.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.